Good afternoon, and if you are new to this channel, make sure you subscribe, you likes, and you share, please. Now today we are going to talk about the mapping and functions. Mapping and functions. Now, what is the meaning of mapping? What do we understand by mapping? Mapping is simply an association between two sets. It's simply an association between two sets. What do I mean? Let's say we have two sets, set X and set T. And the set X is the name of cars. The cars, we have Benz 190 and 505, we have Camry. And the producers of those cars, is our set T. Set T, the Mercedes, the Peugeot, and Toyota. Now, don't forget I said mapping is simply an association between two sets. Now, if I want to do the mapping of these two sets, because there's a relationship between two of them. So the set X and the set T. This F is talking about the mapping, the function, or let me say mapping of the set X and the set T. That's the meaning. Or you can also write it like this. X, the mapping of set X and set T, mapping of function. F here. Now it's showing that there's a relationship between this X and T. And there's a relationship between this S and T. The way you write it. Now, by drawing the mapping diagram for this, if you look at this one, it said the Benz 190. So the producer is Mercedes, or the producer of the Benz 190 is a Mercedes company. The producer of 505 is Peugeot. That's why we have Peugeot 505. And the producer of Toyota Camry is Toyota. That's why we have Toyota Camry. So this is the mapping diagram for it. So this Benz 190, the producer is Toyota, is the producer of this. So the one I have at this my left hand side, we call it domain. The one at my this side, left here, we call it domain. And the one we have here, we also call it co-domain. We call it co-domain. That means this set of X here, we call it what? Domain. This one is domain. And call this one co-domain. Don't forget, call it domain and co-domain. The one, anytime you have the ones you have at your left hand side here, we call it domain, and the one at your right hand side, we call it co-domain. Now, let's take another examples under this mapping. Look at the example number 2. Don't forget, I said the mapping is simply an association between two sets. Look at these two sets. We have set P. You can also write it like this. They can give us like this. Set of P. The element is A, B, C, D. And the set of K. The element there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there is a relationship between them. That's why the mapping diagram is this for them. So the one at the left hand side there is our domain. The one at the left, the right hand side is our codomain. The left here is our domain. The right there is our codomain. So you can draw it like this. You can draw the mapping diagram as shown here. Now, what are we going to say about this diagram on the board? If you look at the codomain, they are real numbers. Codomain element, they are real numbers. What does that mean? And another thing you have to notice is that if you look at the codomain, not all the elements in codomain are paired with the elements in domain. Not all the elements in codomain are paired with elements in domain. What does that mean? Now, actually, the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they are codomain. But those ones that are uniquely paired with domain, we call them another name. That we call them image or range. That means in codomain we have 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the elements that are paired with the element in domain. So those ones that are paired with the element in domain, we call them image or range. see, if you go observe also, I told you the codomain elements are real numbers. And anytime the codomain elements are real numbers like this, it means this diagram is also a function. You can call it a function, you can call it mapping, you can also call it a function. What does that mean? That means function, this diagram is a mapping. Is a mapping. Is also a function. Is a mapping, is also a function. Why? Because all the elements in a codomain are real numbers. Let's say they are letters like A, B, C, or they are messages like the one we did the other time. That one is only just ordinary mapping. The ones we did in the first examples, because the elements in codomains, they are all these words, those ones is a mapping. It's just a mapping. But in these situations, whereby the elements in codomain are real numbers, so that means this diagram is a mapping, is also a function. That's why I say it's a mapping, it's also a function. Why? Because all the elements in a codomain are real numbers. And like I told us earlier, that those ones that are paired with domain, they are image, or we call it range. But all of them from 1 to 5, they are codomain. That's example 2. Look at this example 3. It said the mapping function of age and all. No, like I told you, there's a relationship. That's how we write it. Or you can say age to have not a function here. Anyhow, you write it. Now look at the domain. Look at these are domain. This is codomain. When you look at the domain, that is ABCD. Codomain is 1, 2, 3. So this diagram actually is a mapping, is a function. It's a function diagram. Why? Why is it a function diagram? Because the domain, they are real numbers. The domain here, they are real numbers. And if you look at the domain also, all the elements in domain, they are uniquely paired with elements in codomain. Like I see, A is for 1, B is for 2, and C is for 3, and D also is for 2. It's possible. It's possible. That means you can write it like this. Our domain is A, B, C, D. Why our codomain element is 1, 2, 3. That means, how did they know that this B go for 2, D also go for 2? When they pair it, because in the period they said A, comma 1, comma 1. So don't worry, we'll get there to show you the kind of examples that shows this. But this diagram is a mapping and function diagram. Now, but in case whereby, if you know B goes for 2, B goes for 2, it's possible. But it is not allowed for one element in domain to now go for 2 in codomain. So that diagram is no more mapping and function diagram. Let's say B alone now go for 1, and the same B also go for 2. It's not done like that. So that kind of diagram is no more a mapping and function diagram. I'll show you some diagrams that are no mapping and function diagrams. But for this is a mapping and function diagram. And if you look at the codomain also, codomain here can also be referred to as image, as an image, because all of them are paired with domain. So they can also be referred to as what? Image or range. They can also be called codomain. They can also be called range. They can also be called image, because all of them are uniquely paired with domain. If let's say there is a since all of them are paired with, so you can call them range, you can call them image. Now, if you look at these kind of relations, these two on the board, they are not mapping. They are not mapping and they are not functions. Why? Because anytime you see diagrams and in the domain like this, there is an element left out. There's an element left out. It shows you that it's not a mapping or function. Because no element is allowed to left out in domain. And if you look at this diagram here, D is left out. D is not, none of elements in the codomain here. In codomain, none of elements in codomain is paired with D. And in that case, this diagram is no more a mapping and function. It's no more a mapping and function. Now, if you look at the second one also, this relations is not a mapping and function. Why? Because I told you it's not possible for one element in domain, just one element in domain, to pair with two elements in codomain. To pair with two elements in codomain. Look at this A. Look at this A. A only is paired with 1 in codomain. It's also paired with 3 in codomain. So this kind of diagram is no more a mapping and functions. I hope you all understand. That is, what are we saying is that for you to know that that diagram is not a mapping, is not a function, is that none of elements in domain must left out. That's number one. And number two is that none of elements in domain must paired with two elements in codomain. That means one element is not allowed to pair with two elements in codomain. That means it's not the mapping and function anyhow. But if let's say this one now, let's say D pairs with another, pairs with one of these three, so the diagram becomes mapping and function diagrams. If I say functions, because all these are real numbers. And or this one, let's say this A does not pair with 3 also. So nothing happens to it. It's still a mapping and function. But because the A alone pair with two elements in codomain, that shows that it's no more a mapping and function diagrams. Let me show you order of pair in mapping and function.
Wait though.
If you look at the two diagrams here, the relations here, is U and T. These two relations, they are not mapping, they are not function diagram. They are not mapping and function diagram. Why? If you see a mapping and function diagram like this, and any element in domain is left out, it shows that it's no more a mapping and function diagram. Look at this one, D is left out. So it's no more a mapping and function diagram. Now, another thing why you know that it's not a mapping and function diagram is that when you look at no element in domain is permitted to pair with two elements in codomain. Look at this one. Just A alone is paired with 1 and 3. So that shows that it's no more a mapping and function diagram for A to pair with 1 and 3. But it is allowed for two elements. In domain to pair with 1 in codomain. It is allowed. But it is not allowed for one element in domain to have 2 in codomain. No, it's not allowed. But it is allowed for two elements to go for 1. So this diagram is not mapping and function diagram for A to pair with 1 and 3. That shows that you no more mapping and function diagram. These two relations are not mapping and functions diagrams. Let me show you the ordered pair mapping. Times it can come like this, whereby you are asked to draw the mapping diagrams and show your pairs. Now if you look at the first example here, you're given given questions. You're given in the first bracket, you are given A, 4, B, 5, C, 6, D, 7. Let's take number 2, A, 2, B, 2, C, 1, D, 0. They say identify with reasons a mapping from the pairs below. Now, if you look at the first one, I'm giving A, B, C, D. A go for 4. Let me call this one U. Let me call this one U. Like I told you, you can write it like this. Function of U in relation to phi. So the other relations. And B go for 5. C go for 6. And D go for 7. Or you can also write it like this. So it's a function diagram. A function diagram. A function diagram. It's a mapping and function diagram. So it's true. Now let's do number 2. Number 2. Now domain having A, B, C, D. Now codomain having 2, 2, 1, 0. So the A over 2, B also go for 2. Okay, you cannot repeat it. Since both of them are 2, you don't need to repeat it. There's no repetition. This one also go for 8. C go for 1 and D go for 0. So this kind of diagram is also a mapping and function diagram. It's a mapping and function diagram because I told you it is allowed for 2 to pair with 1 in codomain, but it is not allowed for 1 to pair with 2. It's not allowed, but 2 can pair with 1 in codomain. So this kind of diagram is a mapping and function diagram. So I'm going to stop here for today. So we are going to start with types. When next? Now we start with types of mapping and functions, and we'll do some functions questions and many more. Subscribe, like, and share.